Thanks for joining me on HR Chalk Talk. I'm Brent Houchin, founder of Houchin Consulting and co-founder of Tech People Resources, also known as TPR. The HR Chalk Talk podcast is here to provide information to those in HR, those in leadership positions, and those who simply want to know more about HR best practices. Today's subject is leadership burnout. In my many years in retail and then in HR, I myself experienced leadership burnout. Burnout can happen to the best of the best. And when it does happen, you are almost useless to your teams and to your company. And trust me, everyone starts noticing when you're burning out. Burnout comes in many different shapes and sizes. It feels different to everyone, and it can be deadly, as it could lead to a heart attack or other serious medical issues. I remember thinking I had a heart attack at work. I was just moved to Denver from the Southern California area with my company, and my company promoted me, and they said, we've got to have you go out to Denver and work on this one of our sites there, and that this was important. It's funny, I always push and preach that people have to take care of themselves, but I myself was the absolute worst at it. I think all of us, in a way, are the absolute worst at not practicing what we preach. So this feeling of a heart attack came on, and all I could do was try to push through it and continue working. Really, that is what I did. While this was happening, I kept thinking in my mind, I don't tell people to do this. I tell people that they have to take care of themselves, that they have to stop, they have to pay attention to the signs. But no, I had to just push on through, and no burnout or stress is really worth that. Later that day, I did go to see the doctor, so yay, good for me for doing one of the things that I preached. The doctor scolded me and told me that waiting was not smart whatsoever, and he was right. After all, how would a dead Brent help the company? And when he said that to me, I stood back and thought, yeah, what does a dead Brent help anything? Since that time, I make it an absolute must in my life to watch out for the signs of burnout to ensure that I do not have the scare of a heart attack happen again. Unfortunately, we're living and working in a fast-paced culture that rewards busyness. Companies are under-resourced, forced to do more with less. Our goals, both professional and personal, are all higher. Everything in our lives is higher. We want to achieve more, to have it all, in essence, to become better jugglers. While in some respects, we're living up to that challenge, it can come at a significant cost to our well-being. Our adrenaline systems are under continuous attack with little capacity to recover. A recent poll from the Medical Group Management Association finds that 73% of healthcare leaders feel at least some degree of burnout. That's scary. Our healthcare leaders, people in healthcare, we want to be at their absolute peak and not burnt out. Conducted last week, the poll found that out of 1,750 leaders, 45% said they felt burned out, while 28% said they were somewhat burned out. That's staggering. That's huge. If we were really to sit back and learn what in our organization is happening with our leadership and with our teams, would the burnout level be so high that it would actually cause worry? I think that's often why companies don't ask the question, because if they know, they may feel compelled to do something about it, and doing something about it costs money. But if you lose people and if the burnout rate is real, you have to do something about it. So what signs point to leadership burnout? Well, when your energy levels are so low that you feel like you need the entire weekend or more to recover, it's a clear warning sign that you're heading for or experiencing true burnout. While putting aside self-care because you don't have the time may seem heroic or selfless, it's actually the opposite. Taking good care of yourself actually serves you and those around you because it allows you to perform at your absolute best. I've heard this saying many times, no matter how hard I work, I feel like I will never catch up. That saying is a killer, and if people are saying it, take note. You know you're headed for burnout when you see any of these three things, and especially when you see all three. Number one, you're having trouble motivating yourself to go to work when you wake up or it's starting to feel like Groundhog's Day, where each day blends into the next and nothing seems very interesting or inspiring to you anymore. Number two, you're incredibly exhausted and bone tired. This could be because you're working too hard to get everything done and you're going to bed too late. This could also be because even once you're in bed, you can't fall or stay asleep due to the worries and anxieties about work that absolutely pervade your thoughts. This has happened to me one too many times, and I talk to so many people who tell me the same story, that they don't fall asleep, or when they do, they don't stay asleep, and when they wake up, they absolutely start vacillating on what is wrong or what they have to fix, and then they don't get back to sleep. Very dangerous and very difficult. Number three, you can't seem to control your moods and maybe even your temper. Even if you logically know you need to act professionally and keep your emotions in check, it starts to feel like all your negative emotions are breaking into your work and work relationships on almost a daily basis. I am just as human as any of you listening to this, and I've had this absolutely happen. It was funny at one of my companies that I worked at, when I would be having a bad day or I'd be having something that was just overwhelming, I would stop for a moment. So, I thought I was doing this great self-care, and I would go to our cafeteria and I would get chocolate pudding. There was something about chocolate pudding that just felt like it was helpful. And I would sit there by myself and eat chocolate pudding. And even though the self-care part was, I'm stopping what I'm doing, I'm taking care of me, I'm making my mood come back down. Realistically, I'm shoving sugar in my face and sitting alone. And I wasn't reflecting in a good way. I was just then sitting there rethinking how I'm going to get back to what I'm going to do. So we have to take on certain characteristics, certain things that will help us to avoid these burnouts. So that takes us to, what proactive things can a leader do to avoid burnout? The most important thing a leader can do to avoid experiencing burnout is to have a regular routine of self-care. We're back to that subject again. When I say self-care, a lot of leaders think this just means exercising and eating healthy. Yeah, that is important. But even more important is that a leader have regular ways of rebalancing and re-entering themselves so that when they get off kilter, they can make themselves right again. Many leaders nowadays have found that a regular meditation practice is one ritual that helps them take care of themselves daily and protect against burnout. But that's not the only way. Regular time outdoors, a spiritual practice, or a gratitude journal are all research-proven ways to help leaders prevent a downward slide toward burnout. Think about these things. Think about what helps you, what makes you stop for a minute and stop down that downward spiral of burnout. The second thing, in addition to self-care, that I recommend is to regularly unplug from your devices. Yes, I am the worst at this. In fact, I'm on a device right now recording this, and you're listening to this on a device. But once again, research has shown us that leaders that completely unplug for one night, midweek, just one, folks, were much more likely to look forward to going to work and feeling fulfilled at their jobs. Taking one night off a week is a small price to pay for continued energy, and it's also great modeling and permission for your team so they don't get burnt out as well. Do that. Talk about it with your teams. Talk about unplugging and what and how it helps you and can help others. It's huge. I'm not good at that. Again, I'm going to go right back to how as human I am as you all are, and that I myself really do suck at that particular thing. I love my time on my phone. I am on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, just about anything that you can think of. And I'm always wanting to make sure that I'm not missing something, or that I'm missing an email from a client, or that I'm missing an email from a friend or a loved one. But one night is not going to kill us. In fact, it might help to not kill us. And doing that, taking care of ourselves, and doing the right thing for ourselves is so important. Burnout is real. Okay, off my soapbox. As we close, I want to remind you that you can always contact us at Tech People Resources for learning and development opportunities on any HR-related subject. Or you can always reach out to me at Houchin Consulting for HR assistance of any kind. We're here to help. Tune in next time to HR Chalk Talk as I speak about job descriptions and why they have to be shortened. Don't miss this insightful, I can't even speak today, podcast and learn more on this subject. And remember, it's about respect. Your employees will thank you. Respect is an absolute must when leading others. Thank you for joining me today, and have a great week and work on self-care and less burnout.